Far away in the distance, I can see just that faint, red, angry snap of anti-aircraft bursts against this steel blue sky.
So it's pretty special to be driving around London and to see the bits of it that are really old, pre-war, and those parts which are rebuilt. They say that every street had a story from those dark days of 1940 and 1941.
Is Trafalgar Square. The noise that you hear at the moment is the sound of the air raid siren. A searchlight just burst into action off in the distance. One single beam sweeping the sky above me now.
For 57 consecutive nights from September the 7th, 1940, London was on fire. Wave after wave of bombers poured destruction over the city in what would become known as the London Blitz. Streets were flattened, entire neighbourhoods were reduced to rubble, and lives were changed forever. This wasn't just war, it was a series of personal tragedies. But in the chaos and carnage, something far stronger than bricks and mortar arose. The spirit of a people, a light that shines in the darkness, and for many, a deepening sense of faith in a God who saves.
Meanwhile, London carries on with unshakable mien. Windows may be broken, but the spirit remains intact.
As the terror rained down on London, so many families had a heartbreaking decision to make regarding the safety of their children. Operation Pied Piper would see 1 million of London's children evacuated out of this city to the countryside, to places of safety in the rural parts of England, not just here in London, but many other cities as well. My own mum was evacuated from Worthing on the south coast of England to Nottingham in the north. And so it's personal, you know, it was in our family. I grew up with the stories of knowing what it was like to be an evacuated child. And of course, for many of them, they arrived in families where they were treated with kindness, but for many of them, it was traumatic and it was hopeless, it was lonely, and mothers would stand on platforms and with heartbreak kiss their kids goodbye, and they would carry their tiny gas masks and a small suitcase and labels, name tags on their clothes as they boarded the trains, and fathers would kiss their kids goodbye, really not certain whether they would ever see them again. The City of London fell silent in a way that it had never done before. Classrooms and playgrounds stood empty. It was a sacrifice born out of love. In so many ways, it was a picture of the gospel revealed in the pages of the Bible. A father who sent his son into the world knowing that he would walk into danger and ultimately death in order that we might be saved. On the night of December the 29th, what would later be described as the second Great Fire of London ignited close to St Paul's Cathedral. The silhouette of one of the most famous churches in the world stood defiantly through the smoke. Incendiary bombs fell in their thousands as the flames engulfed Cheapside and Ludgate Hill. And remarkably, St Paul's Cathedral remained untouched, although it was hit a number of times. A bomb lodged in the roof itself, and it was only because of the heroic efforts of ordinary men and women who acted as fire watchers, saved the cathedral. They literally got that bomb out of the roof and discarded it just in time. The following day, that iconic photograph of a smoke-covered dome made global headlines. It became a lasting symbol of hope from those dangerous times. St Paul's Cathedral stands today as a reminder that London burned, but its soul remained strong and its people were unbroken.
These, then, are the faithful custodians of Wren's masterpiece, the symbol of a great and dauntless city, the very soul of London. For them, the task of guarding it is an honourable duty and a sacred trust.
A couple of months earlier, on October the 14th, an explosion happened at Balham Underground Station. Hundreds of people were seeking refuge in the underground station in the tunnels below the road when a bomb hit, a direct hit outside on the street. A bus fell into a crater and the explosion ruptured the mains water supply and also broke the sewer, and tragically 64 people died through drowning or being crushed below the street. And yet days later, families were back on the platform clutching their children, whispering silent prayers to each other. So many of the underground stations around London became important places of shelter, but also of community. The purpose of the Blitz was to break London, but instead it built something way stronger. People from every background pulled together. Strangers became family in those awful days and nights. Stories emerged of clergy and chaplain making their way through the tunnels of the underground stations, sharing prayers and reading scripture to the frightened people. But no part of England's capital suffered more than the East End. The docks and the working class streets took the heaviest blows as the bombs fell night after night. In just one night, over 400 people lost their lives in just 3 square miles. But in the midst of the chaos, something amazing arose. One lady in Canning Town lost both her brothers and her home in one particular bombing raid. She emerged from the wreckage of her house clutching a newborn baby and said to a fire warden, "God clearly hasn't finished with us yet." It was a response which clearly came from a personal faith in God, not from dead religion. And then something truly remarkable happened that stirred the hearts of people across London. Buckingham Palace was hit. It had been hit a number of times before, but on this particular occasion, the king was almost killed. The following day, the king and queen walked the streets of Silvertown and Stepney as an amazing act of solidarity with ordinary Londoners and their families. The Queen later said, "I'm glad we've been bombed. I feel like we can look the East End in the face." To families who had lost everything, just seeing the monarchy walking among them must have meant the world to them. It was said that the Queen visited many times the areas that were most badly hit, and she always carried her Bible and she would read it to frightened children. Her personal faith and her frequent prayers in the rubble inspired so many to trust in God. 2,000 years ago, the King of Heaven came not to a palace, but to the dust and brokenness of our world. Jesus didn't rule from a throne. He sat with the discarded, the sick, the unwanted, and the lonely. He wept with the grieving, and then he walked into death itself in order that people like you and me could walk out of it. The churches that survived the bombings stayed open all day and all night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they became places of refuge where chaplains and pastors and clergy would look after people, would provide for their needs, would give them basic food supplies, comfort them, pray with people. And that was a feature not just of 1940, but it seems that whenever disaster strikes, the church is there waiting to respond. And that's exactly what Jesus did and would do if he walked our streets today.
London doesn't look down upon the ruins of its houses, upon those made homeless during the night, upon the remains of churches, hospitals, workers' flats. London looks upwards toward the dawn and faces the new day with calmness and confidence.
In total, 85 of London's churches were bombed in 1940. Many of them would never rise again. Some of them were repaired, some of them were completely rebuilt after the war. But one of them, Christchurch Greyfriars, was left untouched, and it still remains today as a monument and a memorial to the London Blitz. In the ruins of one of the churches that had suffered a direct hit, rescuers found a charred Bible open at Psalm 46. The words were clearly visible: God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. God is still with us. He still walks with us through our pain. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has never overcome it.
In the hour of danger, we humbly committed our cause into the hand of God. He has been our strength and shield. That faith, that unity, have carried us through dangers which at times seemed overwhelming. And we know also that we shall all face the future together with stern resolve and prove that our reserves, willpower and vitality are inexhaustible.